how can we make Monaco as a Grand Prix more attractive to the TV viewing audience? That's what it's all about. That's why they made this change, this 2 pit stop thing, to try to make the race more attractive. In their world, in their mind, the answer is always more overtaking. That's what we've got to have to make racing more attractive. I actually don't agree with that, and I've often expressed that opinion. Overtaking is great if it's good overtaking and it's done well at the right time, and it's a build up of pressure, or it's the guy in front finally making a bit of a mistake, or the guy behind doing a really cool move down the inside or outside, you know, whatever you want to look at. Maybe Max Verstappen turn 1 Imola, you know, that sort of thing. That's overtaking. But DRS overtaking, boring for me. But I suppose TV can do quite a lot with that. But that's the point, TV. And I've often said that I think Netflix, and I've just said it prior to this, Netflix does skim the surface of what Formula One has to offer. There is so much going on in the entire Formula One world, the economy of Formula One, if you like. The drivers are an incredibly important visual part of it, but they are a tiny part of it, actually. If you think about the size of all the Formula One teams, and you look at all the various aspects of any given Formula One team, whether it be the technology, the people behind the technology, the operation of the wind tunnel, the operation of the computing systems, and then you go beyond that. Obviously, there's on the one side, you've got the business side of Formula One, you've got the sponsorship procurement, you've got the sponsorship management and execution. On the other side of the coin, you've got the construction and building of the car, the mechanics, the factory, all the suppliers, and then beyond that, you've got all the logistics. And then you've got the politics, which I guess you could say comes from the top with the team principal. But there's so much there around which you can do additional great television. And of course, the teams are always going to be as protective as they possibly can of all their information and of everything that's going out. But if you started with a relatively clean sheet of paper around the Concord Agreement and what the teams would be obliged to do in order to improve the package. And let's just say for the moment, for this one race, the Monaco Grand Prix, you could start miking up key people in the team. You could start miking up the drivers as they're going to and from the track. You could start filming and miking the drivers' briefing before the race. And you could cut in and out with really good directors and production. You would come up with an amazing package for the Monaco Grand Prix. Even if it was a processional race and they're all going around in single file, you could immediately cut back to the radio transmission. Instead of just hearing it, instead of just seeing whoever it is on the pit wall that might be talking and pressing some button, you actually know the engineer. This is the engineer who's talking to Lewis Hamilton right now. Oh yeah, look, and he's getting a bit annoyed. Yeah, that's good television. Obviously, you know, the teams are not going to want to do that voluntarily. You're going to have to twist their arm, but that's what the Concord Agreement's all about, getting more out of the teams to improve the show. And if it's not the engineers and the drivers, let's have some other aspects. Let's have the mechanics and what they're saying to one another. And let's mic up a couple of the mechanics. Let's make it much more human, because Monaco is always going to be a procession. There is no way around that, short of making it a race every year when the teams don't bring their actual race cars, but instead they develop 250cc gearbox karts and they just race the karts for the weekend with the Grand Prix drivers in them. It wouldn't be a bad thing, but it wouldn't be the Monaco Grand Prix as we know and love it. Or not love it. Short of that, this is the only way to do it. Make it a much better television show. And I don't know why they don't do that, because they got all that content, all that material out there going to waste. No, it's never used. It's never filmed. It's never I mean, right at the end of the race, Lando Norris's friends and family, yes, some nice shots of cutting to them, but why weren't they mic'd up? Why weren't we seeing that as part of the Grand Prix production? Change it. Don't just go down the same path every time. Oh, this is the way we do the pre-race show. This is the way we do the grid walk. This is the way we do this. Then we cut to that. Everything is so predictable. And it kind of works when it's the normal Grand Prix, when it's the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, or it's Vegas and you've got these long straights with the 3 DRSs. It kind of works. Well, it does work, I guess. Well, I guess the litmus test for that is how many of the Netflix generation actually watch every Grand Prix from start to finish. That's an interesting stat, which I think we need to see, because there's always this reference to the Netflix generation, but let's see how much it's actually transferring into the money-making part of Formula One, which is increasing the number of people watching it on television. It's okay to watch it on Netflix, which is part of the Formula One business, but it's not the same as how many people actually watch it on television, because that's where the real money is. And that's where I think we need to focus. We need to focus on making the TV show much more about people. And much, if you like, Netflix have shown Formula One finally in the post-Bernie era that it is about people, that people do want to understand what other people are doing and try to understand what goes on behind a Grand Prix driver's mind or inside a Grand Prix driver's mind. But they've never had access to it until now. And it's superficial access. There's a lot more we could be doing out there. And we should make all the Formula One people in their own way are stars, regardless of what they're doing. They're all star people. Most of them work flat out compared with normal human beings. Most of them are totally passionate about what they do. And of course, the most interesting moments are when things are not going well and how they react to that. And Formula One people are very, very impressive people when things are not going well. And we're not really seeing that on the TV coverage we're getting at the moment. We don't really understand what's going on at Mercedes when they're having a terrible Monaco Grand Prix, how they're facing that and how they work through that. We're not understanding what it's like at Ferrari at the moment with all the politics, you know, with 2 megastar drivers in the team and the team, yeah, getting some good results, but not really being where the Tifosi want it to be. We're not really seeing what goes on at Red Bull and how they react when the car isn't very good on a Friday, but they do get it to work on a Saturday in qualifying and the build up to that. All we see is the result. And that's because Red Bull don't want anybody else to know. But my point is that if you have a very good director and a very good team of people working with the teams, you'll very quickly know what can be put out to public consumption and what cannot. It's not difficult to do that. You work with the teams. And the teams know it's in their own interest anyway, if they're getting a lot more people watching this. So that's my positive way of saying the Monaco Grand Prix not only has to stay on the calendar, and it deserves its place on the calendar for the role it's played and is playing in the commercial side of Formula One's success, but also this is a way that we can really improve our love of the Monaco Grand Prix and look forward every year to this one race where we see so much background television and content going on.